We're here in Zona del Silencio. Agent Ryan successfully breached.
And Agent Mora, we are in here again, yet again. It's too damn hot, but here we are.
It is. But Royo's here too, looking chipper as ever. Hello. I don't know. Hey, you need a snack? You need to get some energy? Look, I'm not finishing this churro. You can have that. I know you just like that.
We're not supposed to be feeding them churros anymore.
Nah, they're going to need it for this one. Look, it's always, it's hot, but it's always a thrill being out here. How have things been the last couple of weeks? You know, we finished the probationary period. You feel like kind of more of the team now?
Yeah, especially now that I've kind of gotten, I don't know, a little bit of a stipend at least. Like, talk to some people. No, I'm not going to be able to, like, make this my full-time job, apparently, but it's making it worth my while, so I guess I'll stick around.
Okay, well, that's good. And I don't normally do this, but I know those notes are coming. They're inevitable. They're going to happen. So this time, I want to get in front of something. I'm sure it's coming. You might remember when we had our discussion on melon heads way back on Case 3 with research consultant Sass.
I do remember that.
We witnessed that Lechuza take out some of those deformed humanoids that are somehow allowed to fuck around out here because of this dumb treaty. Anyway, after seeing how easily these deformed guys are taken out by owl witch women and how melon heads were pretty much the same as the Zona monsters here, I thought I could solve that melon head problem in Michigan or wherever else by creating our own Lechuza and, leasing her out to these places. Not the worst idea.
It's not the worst idea you've had. It's not the best because it's... Well, what happened? How did it go?
Well, someone liked it because I got the funding and the willing participant in Willow who did the ritual and can transform. I'm all set, right?
Well, damn.
Time to make some bucks, make some dinero after covering expenses.
Yeah, because they're not paying us here.
Look, Willow and I, we were going to split the fee. It was going to the moon. Well, it turns out melon heads aren't as big of a threat to these areas that Mr. Sass made them out to be. And no one wants to pay for their services. Even Gretchen Whitmer told me no. It's the governor of Michigan.
Well, damn. I mean, you tried. I guess they mostly keep to them. That's a good thing, though, right? That's a good thing that they're not being terrorized by melon heads, those people.
I don't know. I was built up like this could fit some kind of venture that the melon heads were that big of a problem. But it gets worse because Willow was not happy to hear this. She got angry. She went full of Lechuza and pretty much destroyed the lab I was using, and now she is also gone.
Oh, great. So
that's how it's been going for me.
That's what I was worried about.
And with that being said, it's time for those always appreciated notes. You're going first. For Agent Mora, excellent work in apprehending the unauthorized Zoneros from humanoid territory while causing minimal damage. For your efforts, you are rewarded this prototype pair of experimental desert boots, dubbed by its creator the Zapatas del Silencio. Okay.
Awesome. I guess that makes them quiet.
Wait, what does that mean?
They're shoes of silence.
The shoes of silence. I don't know. Are they comfortable? What are they? These
it must give me boot? Plus 20 stealth, yeah.
This is getting ridiculous. What? I don't get anything. There's another one for you for Agent Mora. There have been several inquiries about scheduling a meeting between you and representatives of the Raelian movement who are interested in the possibility of a future membership for yourself.
Oh, boy.
Uh-oh. Raelian radar. They're
I'll have to think about that. Because that's a pretty big undertaking. I don't know if I could blend in with them. I'm pretty good at blending in, but not for... You're not allowed to smoke or drink with them. How am I going to do that?
Normally recruit, too? I didn't know how that sort of worked. I thought...
Sure. I mean, it seems like they kind of they'll talk to people around them. I don't think that they necessarily go on like... missionary missions to convert people like the way Mormons do. They don't go around proselytizing, I don't think, but, if they were aware that we were talking about them and maybe they're going to try to like set the record straight or something. I don't know.
Wait, if you get to do like one of those Skype churches with Rael, I want to see it too. And look, even if you say no, though, I did take the liberty of signing you up for Insure a Clone, so you're all set.
Great.
As far as that goes.
Okay, cool. Actually, that does save me a lot of work. I was interested in that part of the program.
Well, I was going to save it for your birthday, but whatever. There you go. You got in shirt clone. And here we go from me. For Agent Ryan, due to your utter recklessness and total failure in the Lechuza project, which led to the destruction of ZDS property and numerous staff injuries, your research budget has now been suspended and all funded projects are to now cease. That is all.
Oh, dude.
All right, well, that sucks.
That was harsh. That is all. They even said that is all? Or did you just say that?
No, it actually says that in here.
Ooh, yeah.
Aluxes.
They're mad.
I mean, it sucks. I kind of liked having the freedom to do things, but I could.
Yeah.
They didn't say I could do stuff on my own.
That's true. Use your own funding, but maybe, I mean, are you going to use the ZDS facilities for that?
I don't think I can. I don't have anything fancy to work with, but I'll figure it out. I like fancy stuff though. It's kind of
Look, I still have a bit of a budget myself. If you've got a project going on that doesn't seem like that reckless to me, I could go in on it. I don't know. We'll see what you've got.
All right, we'll see what I have up my sleeve. And look, with that in the past now, all in the past, that is the past. We're moving forward. We have a zone advisory from the man on the hill, Jamie. Agents, stay hydrated. Threat level is moderate, but the heat index has risen dramatically. Your requested supply delivery will arrive shortly. Proceed 2 clicks to the southwest to retrieve package. Good luck out there. Thank you, Jamie.
I didn't request supplies. Did you?
Yeah, it's a surprise. I have a new project idea and a lot of free time. You'll see. Past is done. It's time for the future. So speaking of that, let's get to our future. Let's do it now. Today's case number 8, Los Aluzes, the Fae of Mexico. A Fae, Agent Mora. This is our first foray into the world of fairies or the fairy realm.
Yeah, here.
I don't know. This kind of caught me by surprise. It's brought to us. I didn't know that Mexico had fairies or Fae activity.
Oh, dude, they're everywhere. They're all over the world. It's just a matter of how the cultures interpret them or whether they embrace them or reject them and refuse to acknowledge them.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
I think there's just bigger names in other parts as far as Fae go, because most people associate stories of Fae with, European cultures, like Celtic, Slavic, German, English, French. They're known as mythological beings or legendary creatures, and they're a spirit often described as metaphysical, supernatural, or preternatural, which is always a fun term to throw in. And the Fae, they can be any number of nature spirits. You got the classic fairies, but you also have what? Sprites? Elves? Could you name a couple?
Anything that's not human, that's kind of humanoid, right? That's like,
I think they have to be a little more
plane?
diminutive, like goblins, gnomes.
Okay.
I think that's all in the family of Fae.
Yeah, okay. Because I always find those words kind of like interchangeable to me.
A sprite and a gnome? I don't think that's the same
Well, a
thing.
sprite
no?
and like a fairy, but like a goblin and a fairy. To me, it always seems to depend on who's telling the story and how
It's
they're
true.
how scared they were as to how they're going to describe it.
It's true. We're going to find there's a lot of, shared powers between these creatures, which I think make them a family, this Fae. But yeah, they're small creatures. They're often known for trickery of humans and magical abilities. And depending where you are in the world, they have varying origin stories. Pagan cultures thought they were deities. Christian cultures consider them to be either fallen angels or even demonic entities. I don't know. Most of these are a little cute to be demons.
Well, you never know. You can't really judge by appearances because there's supposed to be a lot of scary things that are benevolent. I mean, even in nature here, they're not like, I don't know, caterpillars that look like they're full of thorns, but they're actually really fuzzy and stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah, it could be like that, but demon seems to go a little far with these guys.
Yeah, there's some, it's hard to trust little like fairy spirits because a lot of them, I think that the biggest word that comes up is like tricking. They trick you. So you don't want to, even if they look innocent, you shouldn't really trust it.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm always scared of is getting tricked. I always feel like I'm being tricked, and they're out there purposefully tricking people.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, definitely the most well-known, I think, of all the Fae, mostly probably leprechauns or stuff with Irish culture. Because in Irish culture, the fairies are believed to be spirits of the dead, and that's one of the reasons they live in mounds under the ground where we put the dead people. And the fairy form is a human spirit that has some unfinished business here on Earth. It's a little more almost in the ghostly realm with fairies in Ireland.
Yeah. That's interesting because, I mean, they seem to be different than humans a lot of the time, but it does kind of make sense when you think of the ones that are changelings that will kind of swap themselves in place of your children because, yeah, maybe they are trying to get that extra chance at resolving their unfinished business at being human again.
Yeah, and it is, as you can see, they're pretty much from everywhere they come from, it takes a different form, or There's a big theory, though, that the Fae are the folklore memories of a race of beings that are now extinct, lost to time, that this was an actual race of beings on this earth. And one of the things that people mention to back up this theory is the practice of wearing cold iron as a good luck charm to ward off fairies. Because the cold iron, Mora, is supposed to represent the advanced iron tools and weapons that humans used to defeat competitors in those early days.
That's interesting. I didn't realize that was the reason why. I thought it was just kind of an allergy to that particular composition of metal, the same way that silver will ward off not just werewolves, but silver's supposed to be something pure against a lot of, I guess, I don't know, untoward supernatural beings.
Oh, this is a brag. This is a civilization brag.
This is just because like we figured out iron and how to make it into weapons. Therefore, you should be afraid of the iron itself. It's a little underwhelming for me.
There's other kind of references like that, because like flint arrowheads from the Stone Age are called elf shot, which is also kind of a reference to, this idea of somehow a lost race that was just taken out a long time ago.
That I have not heard of before.
Yeah, and it just shows how ill-equipped these Fae are in comparison to Homo sapiens. And it's thought that the remnants, whoever was left that didn't get killed by the iron, they were forced into hiding underground in mountains, deep woods. And they wear those green outfits for camouflage. That's why, a leprechaun would be in green. He is camouflage.
Well, I thought they just liked it. Yeah.
And the other thing they did, they developed magic as a way to improve their odds in the battle against man. And I kind of like this theory because now they can use magic, so anything else could be possible for them if they really had to evolve to use magic.
Some deus ex machina. That sounds so backwards. I've always thought, I mean, maybe it's just the biased, literature that I've been reading. I've always thought that the Fae were older than humanity, that they are spirits of nature, of the earth that are already here, and that they kind of had to defend themselves against man because man came later. I thought that the Fae always had magic about them and would use that in order to kind of, like that they found humans interesting and man interesting, and so they'd want to like mess with them. And it just was like this always ongoing thing that way. I didn't realize that they had to develop magic to fight back against humans.
Now, I think both of these theories are completely acceptable. I think the way that I just put it might have had someone maybe heard that and took it very literally. Like, no, they were here, and then they had to, fight their way through. But yeah, it's almost the same idea, but they're more physical beings in this that aren't, as nature spirits.
Yeah, they
had
sound
to develop
closer to people.
Over time.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay, I can kind of see where it's going.
Yeah. And the earliest mention of these types of creatures comes from a Persian folklore, where they have a winged humanoid creature called Paris. And there are illustrations of the Paris. It's like an exquisite winged spirit, and they're described as mischievous beings that have been denied entry to paradise until they have completed penance for atonement. And later, under Islamic influence, Paris became benevolent spirits that were kind of a contrast to the jinn and the evil divas, the demons.
Yeah, that's what that made me think about the whole penance thing. So what makes them different from the jinn, since the jinn were supposedly punished for being jealous of man being created and trying to put man down that way, bring them down? So what did this Paris do?
I think the Paris became the more beautiful image, the more benevolent spirit that...
So they're the ones who kind of went along with like, okay, we're not going to be so mad and jealous with humans.
Yeah, or murderous or demonic and all those levels.
They're not going to be dicks, okay.
But
that's good.
This is kind of the earliest thing that can be traced back is the Paris and Persian culture. And as you can see, some of the things are there, the idea of being mischievous and these winged, humanoid creatures, spirits, whatever you want to call them. But it's from here, though, that people speculate that these beliefs spread through different parts of the world. They took on all those different forms, the ones we talked about, little monster guys, attractive winged women. But Europe in particular had a lot of these. But what about Mexico? Did these creatures or legends or ghosts or whatever else, hidden race? Are there any examples of that in Mexican or Mayan culture? Well, of course there is. It is the Aluxe or the Alux or the Aluab. And these are mythical Mayan spirits that are found in the Yucatan Peninsula. And we will go forward in calling them the Aluxe. We have settled on that pronunciation, correct?
Yeah, that's what seems to be commonly decided on around the web.
So this is, I'm not going to say Mexican leprechaun. That is not what this is.
Oh, you're not going to say it?
It's very close though, but I like the term Aluxe. And the Aluxe, they stand about 3 feet tall. They are dressed in traditional Mayan clothing from the period. And the Aluxe resemble depictions of goblins or elves, also dwarves. They definitely are on the, I'm not going to say hideous side, but they're not on the cute side at all.
Yeah. They're a little endearing. You know what? It kind of then, I guess, reminds me of the troll dolls, where they're not like beautiful, but they're kind of ugly, but they're kind of cute in that way. They're a little bit endearing. Yeah,
that's why troll dolls got so big. Everyone loved them.
To be honest, I hated them when I was a kid. I thought they were the most horrible things to look at.
So big now. How did they parlay that stupid troll dolls into those so many movies? Kids love those movies.
Man, it takes a really good, clever marketing meeting to just decide we're going all in on this. Kids are going to like what we tell them to like, as long as there's enough bright colors and lights.
Yes. Tradition holds that the Aluxe are generally invisible, but they are able to assume physical form for purposes of communicating with frightened humans, as well as to congregate. They have to be able to see each other. They cannot be invisible all the time, and they cannot see each other in invisible form.
Oh.
And they're also very powerful nature spirits. They are fae. They are not just a lot like them. They are they are pretty much fae, same as other parts of the world. And I think that nature spirit element, that's kind of required to be considered a fae. That seems to be the one big rule.
Yeah, you've got to be. I mean, it's so funny because a lot of times people say the word supernatural, that it's not natural. It's above that or something, where in this case, it's like, no, they're supernaturals and very natural. These spirits are, I think that, they came before people. They originated with the planet. So
yeah, and they have to deal with us, which is
we're the nuisance here.
Does it work out? Does it work out all the time? Let's find out. There are some major differences in these Mayan Aluxe, and their stories they originate from the deepest rainforests of Mexico and Guatemala, where these little guys and gals they inhabit caves and deep woods and rivers, where they are just busy causing mischief and sometimes going further, being openly malicious to those who won't comply with whatever they are up to. And we're gonna discuss a few different versions of this creature. The Aluxe, though, this is the classic one, though, and it's really weird because the Mayan version of Aluxe isn't an already existing being. This is something that kind of sets it apart from a lot of this. It is something that is created or in a way summoned. So let's talk about the process of making your very own Mexican fae Aluxe. It is not as hard as you might think. Here's what you have to do. You have to start by making a really detailed clay figure. Do you have any experience at all working with clay?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I do.
Perfect. So you want to make this clay figure, and then you need a shaman. A shaman is needed, and the shaman is going to perform a ritual. He'll cast a spell, which will make this clay figure come to life, but not right away, though. You take this clay figure that your friend made for you, and you have to take it home and place it either underneath the oldest tree you have on your property or your village, or you can build a little house for it, for your clay figure.
Yeah, that's the best thing to do, I think. That shows a lot more
permanence.
Yeah, and not just like intent. It just shows like the effort that you're going to be put into it,
Like, look, please come to life, clay figure, little Aluxe man, and I have a little house for you. So you're trying to get him out there. He's already been blessed by the shaman. And then you have to bring the statue food and drinks for a while. Just keep feeding it, leave it in front of the thing. If it's not eating it, just leave it there. But eventually, the clay statue will be gone, and the little Aluxe guy will be alive. It's like one of those hatching things that you put in water.
Except you don't give the thing food and everything. It seems like it takes a lot longer for these Aluxe to come to life.
I don't know. I've seen some of those eggs. I had a Bigfoot one that took days. It was really frustrating.
I think that these guys take a little bit longer than days. I would think weeks, maybe even a month, because you got to figure this whole clay figurine has to either wash away with the elements or maybe get picked off by an animal.
I think some of them cheat, just dump buckets of water on it. Come on, I need this thing.
Right? It seems like a very lengthy process. You have to be committed.
It is. You have to be committed. And who is going through this kind of commitment in the Mayan rainforest for centuries? Well, I'll tell you, the market for shaman-infused clay elf statues is farmers mostly. I don't know, maybe even farmers only. You see, See, the reason that these things were wanted was because when the Alux statue comes to life, it will help around the property and the farm. It's a little helper, and it is born in the moonlight, and this Alux will keep your property safe from predators or intruders. It keeps an eye over your crops that might be there. This is the best part, it's a nature spirit. This thing not only protects your crops, he can help them grow because he can make it rain.
Yeah, literally.
As a nature spirit.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest things. And it just goes to show, a little bit of respect goes a long way. And a lot of respect, like in this case, goes an even further way. Because they take care of your property for quite some time.
That's a big advantage for these farmers. Because you can control the rain and you can maybe you have a rival. You got this little Alux guy. You can,
Just knowing that you have somebody on your side that's got a little bit of an extra edge than what you're able to do with your land.
Yeah. And I mean, we did mention this is in the rainforest. I don't know much drought. Like, I don't know how useful this skill was out there in the,
it's all over it. There's definitely, it's not just the rainforest that these guys are in. So it's like, it encompasses other climates, other terrains.
That's true. You can bring a clay statue anywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this isn't a perfect system of getting free helpers. The Alux, he's only going to be helpful for 7 years. That's all you're going to get for them. And after 7 years...
It's a good contract.
It is. But after 7 years, exactly, has passed, the property owner then has to board up the windows and doors of his little Alux house, keep that guy in there, because these beings will turn evil after 7 years. They become malevolent to the people who created them and fed them, and they'll just start playing tricks, causing all sorts of problems that these farmers do not want to deal with.
Yeah, they hit puberty, and it's just once you have like a teenage little face spirit, they're gonna turn on you, they're gonna rebel, they're gonna say they wish they were never born and that they hate you. So you gotta just keep them in their room, just lock them in their room.
Yeah, they spent that time learning everything about you, learning the new skills probably at here, learning your patterns and habits. Yeah, this is insane. And I don't know, I guess they stay trapped in the house or they die, because it seems like it would be hard to contain something like this with just nails and boards after this time.
Yeah, this is the part that confuses me about this, I guess just this process. I would think that the best thing would be to kind of set it free and let it do its thing, and that way it's no longer bound to your land. If it's going to turn on you, maybe just be like, all right, you're free, then be happy. But no, yeah, this is this opposite. They're just, it's kind of sad that they're bound to turn on you.
They're bound. I believe whatever the shaman does the ritual, part of the owner's property, like the dirt from the property is used, it like kind of infused with the clay thing. And it that's how it knows that that's its property.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in some instances, it's a couple of drops of the farmer's own blood, too.
Yes. Yep.
So bound to that person.
It's like, I got your blood and your dirt. I know where you're going.
Yeah.
But what if the other way around? So, yeah, maybe he just has to keep him locked up, keep it contained. Maybe it just goes dormant, like a spirit or something, like a mummy that comes alive.
Yeah.
If the Alux's master dies, though, these little pixies, they go to the services of the god of corn, Yom Ka'aks.
Wow. They all go to the corn, no matter what.
Yeah, they're properties of the corn. The
that
corn has somehow
There's a lot of
rights over
corn.
them. But if the property that they cared for, but if it does get occupied by a new owner, the Alux become mischievous until the new owner offers food and prayers until they too are accepted. So they have to kind of make a little penance.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, well, I'm not going to call you mom or I'm not going to call you dad, but if you give me something, then I'll at least
I will scare off the chupacabra.
Yeah, I'll at least be on your team.
They have to have some kind of way to escape, though. I know this is like so far this is just a created being, but because there are more stories where they don't seem bound to any kind of land. So there's got to be some kind of way out. Maybe some are freed, or maybe the owners die and they wander off. Maybe they don't have to stay there.
I'm thinking it's kind of something like where they're out and about, but you can create your own, but there's a bunch that just naturally exist on their own.
That makes more sense, because there's a lot of occasions where humans will come across them in the wild, and they'll appear in their small humanoid form, and they beg the person for an offering. They usually want food, water, clothing. And I also found that things they really like. So you have to give them something. They really like honey, corn, and tobacco.
Oh, all right. That's good to know. Honey's going to be hard to kind of have on hand, but
tobacco's pretty easy.
Keep some cigarettes on you is pretty easy.
Keep a cigarette in your pocket.
There you go.
Yeah, but if you don't do this, when they get angered, they are said to produce short screams, strong whirlpools, and other phenomena when they get angry. And some people consider Alux allies of evil, And therefore, some farmers think carefully about the convenience of having an Aluxe at their service, since it will give him or her 7 years of good harvest. And at the end, it's just a risk that this goblin will take its master to the Zibalaba, the underworld.
It reminds me of the kind of arrangements that you might make with the local protection
racket.
club. Yeah. We'll say that, where it's like, that it's ultimately these are dangerous kind of things to be dealing with, that they have the power to harm you, but you're kind of in a truce mode. From what I read is that they're kind of more childish though. So they're easy to anger, but they're easy to appease as well. So it's like, as long as you are putting forth the effort and not just completely shrugging it off, then most people should be fine.
It does seem like more people should be fine, because if you comply, if you give the Aluxe what they require, then you're in luck, because literally they will bless you with good luck. It's like their big thing. And they also, the personal protection. Yeah, you were talking about this being, look, every race species, there's a shady element. Maybe these are a bit of a protection racket, but they do offer personal protection. And I think what they mean by that is just safe passage to wherever you're heading. Like, say if you come across a being like this, it'll just take you somewhere. It's like a little bodyguard.
Yeah, it's like you said about the good luck too. Like, it's like they could kind of open up paths, or like help you through obstacles, or just lead you to fortunate, little things on the side.
Yeah, they could maybe do things for you without actually having to physically be there. I get what you're saying. Like,
Yeah, just like, oh, look what you happened upon, a whole bag of Taco Bell that's unopened and not moldy. Here you go.
But still, I think they are ready to pop out and protect if they need. I'd like that. I would like one of these guys.
It's definitely preferable to them, fucking your shit up and making your life hell. They can cause and spread sickness, because I did read they can't really physically harm you. Like, they can't punch you or kick you. Yeah. They're not able to do that, but they can.
Do people know that? Maybe they shouldn't be sending them.
Yeah, I guess that's why people generally don't try to anger them or annoy them, because they're so easy to please. Like I said, they're a bit childish. You give them some candy, and they'll be stoked, and it doesn't take much.
Yeah, some tobacco, some honey. Yeah, it seems like you have to go out of the way to anger the Aluxe, yeah. And there's a lot of debate about how this creature and these practices became tradition in Mexico. Some think the stories of the Fae were brought over when the Spanish came in the 16th century, or even pirates. That this is a lot of the lore of Aluxe just sounds like European kind of Fae legend, leprechauns, fairies, whatnot. And I don't know, who would have sailed over from the British Isles where fairies, they're all the rage. They come over here, But the Mayans themselves, they disagree with that. They think that the Aluxe, like you said, is something that has been here forever. This was just passed down from their own culture, their own knowledge of this, just over the centuries. And that any similarity between leprechauns, goblins, elves, this is a purely coincidence. This is maybe a real thing. And I don't know, maybe it's just maybe it is part of that long-lost race, too, those smaller creatures in hiding. Maybe they just somehow, to avoid annihilation, they ended up here, too.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense that they're just all over the world and developing in their own ways, the way that people do. Like, they develop their own culture amongst themselves. I mean, there are similar things in Cuba and other places where, you wouldn't really have that ease of transfer of ideas. Yeah. Like, it's like I had mentioned before about how many similarities and common themes there are in folk magic around the world. So similarly, there is, like, with all of these creatures, everyone seems to have a version of this somewhere, and usually in the woods, where they can kind of hide away, and they're a little bit of tricksters and sometimes evil to some people's perceptions, and maybe they are evil in different parts of the world, who knows.
And as much in hiding as these things want to be, there are some well-known stories out there, and one of the most well-known ones, at least a well-known modern one, of Aluxe activity. This happened in Cancun in the 1990s. And if anyone's ever traveled to Cancun, or you want to go there one day, there is a bridge that connects the airport to the hotel zone. So they call it the hotel zone. And anyone who travels there is probably going to have to utilize this bridge. It's called the Cancun Nizuc Bridge. And this bridge, this has a very troubled past, and it's all related to the Aluxe. Because during its construction, it unexpectedly collapsed twice.
Wow.
And people started to believe that this endeavor of making this bridge was somehow cursed, possibly by a disgruntled Aluxe. And this construction was maybe infringing on a territory that it was maybe already bound to by someone else. They did not appease it. And the construction people, they were not leaving offerings. So after the second collapse, they wised up and they had a Mayan priest sent in to bless the land. They left offerings. And the construction team, this is my favorite part. They built a very nice and very cool house for the Aluxe right underneath the bridge.
Yeah.
It's like a little pyramid. It's great.
Yeah, it looks like it's a full-on shrine-looking thing. It looks like a miniature temple.
It does. It does look like a city art structure too under this bridge. It looks very cool. And it worked. It was a total success. And the little Aluxe house stands to this day, and so does the bridge. It's very cool. This is one of my favorite stories that they actually did appease this thing. And because Cancun, beautiful paradise, but it seems to be one of the hot spots for run-ins with the Aluxe. Because there is a famous writer. I'm sure you're familiar with her work, Signe Pike.
No, I'm not.
Signe Pike, she had an experience with the Aluxe that she described as very frightening. And she has written about this experience in her books. And her experience with the Aluxe, it rekindled her childhood fascination with fairies and other mystical creatures. And she went on to write the book Fairy Tale, One Woman's Search for Enchantment in a Modern World. And that is her backstory, how she got back into fairies as an adult because she had an experience in Cancun.
Interesting.
A scary one.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's the thing. People, if you think about it in these Disney terms of, I guess even Tinkerbell is not really all that benevolent, but a lot of people have this idea of fairies being cute, dressing in flowers, just frolicking around in the dew and just being pretty. But no, there's a very dark side to the fae, and they need to be treated with a little bit of, I guess, respect in that sense.
Yeah, the Aluxe are like scary little kids. They look like
yeah,
almost like.
They'll throw
like
tantrums.
Troll doll is a great way to put them, but living, it's like, when you try to when people draw a Simpsons character, they would look in real life, and it just looks like it's completely frightening. That's how, if you try.
You know what these remind me of? It just clicked for me. The Sour Patch Kids and the Sour Patch Kids commercials that they have now.
That's right.
Where it's like they're sweet and sour. They'll be these little assholes, and they'll fuck with you, and then you just kind of and then they can turn right around and just be the sweetest things and be like, oh, okay, well, no, I like you again now. So
I like them even more.
Here's
I love
some crops.
Sour Patch Kids. Oh man.
Same.
Yes, Fairy Tale. One Woman's Search for Enchantment in the Modern World. Sounds like a fascinating read. But back on to Cancun, we've got another famous Cancun Aluxe incident involving the Mayan ruins turned concert venue known as Chichen Itza. It's a very big place out there. It's an old ruins that is now a concert venue. And prior to concerts given by Luciano Pavarotti and Sarah Brightman, sacred ceremonies and offerings were conducted by Maya priests to please the Aluxe.
Awesome.
Both of these concerts, they went off without a hitch. This thing worked. But then, during preparation for the Elton John concert held there, the stage collapsed and 3 workers were injured.
Oh my God.
Later, they admitted that a ceremonial offering was not made to the Aluxe in the name of Elton John.
Who dropped the ball there?
I don't think it's Elton John's camp. I don't think he would know.
No, because he wouldn't have known. It's not, he's, if you're ignorant to it, it's not your fault entirely. It's a little bit forgivable. I think they kind of know that thing, and they might be a little bit more peeved at the people who should have known better.
He would have heard about it after. I wonder what Elton John thought of all that.
I'm very curious to know.
Sorry, we had to cancel that concert in Cancun because they didn't do the ceremony. And these little goblin guys, they came and they messed up your stage.
You have to include that in the writers. Aluxe have their own writers, basically. And if you don't comply with the local people's demands, I mean, you're a guest there. You gotta act like it.
Elton John's like, what? Anyway, moving on. Next city. This is not.
Yeah, he's like, okay, we'll go on to the next non-ferry ridden town.
Yeah. Well, if you think you can get away from ferries, guess what? Because even if you're staying in Mexico, there is a different variation of this being of the Aluxe. And this is another version that is also very well known in Mexico, is the creature known as the Chaneque. Please tell me I pronounced that right. Chaneque.
Chaneque, yeah. That's good.
So the name Chaneque, it means those who inhabit dangerous places or the owners of the house. And these beings are are thought to be kind of the same as what is known in Spanish culture as the duende.
Yeah.
Because duende means master of the house. These are the owners of the house. I think this is a direct Spanish-influenced fae, or maybe a Spanish fae brought over at the time. That is another big part. It is a lot like Aluxe, but now it is Chaneque.
Mm-hmm. Well, again, I'm thinking it's just something that does exist in multiple places. One word that we didn't really go over, and I guess, from some European origin, England, I'm not sure, the brownie spirits, where they are house-dwelling spirits that generally are helpful. For the most part, they don't tend to play any bad tricks. If anything, they'll just play like really innocent, cute little pranks kind of things. But generally, you're going to wake up and find all your dishes are clean, or, your shoes that were broken have been fixed and things like that. If you've been having a hard time, they just lend a helping hand, which is actually where the Girl Scout named the brownies. They have the different levels, the daisies, brownies, juniors, cadets, whatever.
Weebles, sure.
Yeah, that's where the brownies got their name from.
I was going to actually ask if it had anything to do with Girl Scouts, but I completely forgot about those are so many fae. Yeah, I completely forgot. Brownies are so innocent and not on the radar.
Yeah.
Those are great little guys. Brownies are underrated.
And that's how I feel that the duende is a little bit more similar too, because of the fact that they tend to be drawn to, the idea of a dwelling, as opposed to the Aluxe kind of being out and about in nature, and that you can either summon one to you or create one for your property, but they will look over the land, the whole area. Whereas the duendes seem to be a little bit more house-oriented, the domain.
I think Jeff the Mongoose could have been the duende.
Sure, something like that. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that theory.
Yeah. But this Chaneque or duende, this thing is no brownie, because even though they're a lot like the Aluxe, they are these small goblin-like sprites, they have some major differences. Chaneques are naked all of the time.
Hot.
Which I think hot, but also makes it way scarier in a way.
It's a real power move.
Yeah, and author and folklore expert Pedro Cholitio Timo described them as, quote, a boy doll or a little man who hops and jumps. and is seen wearing, quote, wide-brimmed sombrero, as the Mexicans do. His color is black. And Timo believes that duendes are real and connected to the devil, similar to centuries-old Spanish beliefs, and that people who practice satanic rituals are more likely to see duendes.
See, and it goes back to that fear reaction. Just anything that's outside of the what is purely, and I don't know what the timeline is as far as like conversion to Catholicism goes, and what with acknowledging the devil versus religions that were existing on the land beforehand. But anything that seems to not fit immediately under God and the Holy Spirit is automatically evil. It's like it's just black and white, no middle ground.
It does seem like that is creeping in at this point, and maybe the Aluxe legends were already there, and maybe they're just getting converted in different areas by whoever's in control at the time. But here's some more about the Chaneque. When they get angry, they can be disruptive and they can physically hurt humans, unlike the Aluxe.
Yeah.
And in one example, the Chaneque threw a fistful of hay into the mouth of a prisoner.
Oh my God.
But the prisoner was then able to scare the Chaneque by saying he will create a fire. And that seemed to be enough to get him off this prisoner. And it gets a little worse, too. They are also known to kidnap women and men for the purpose of forced sexual relationship.
Oh, no.
The Chaneque.
Okay. Yeah, we got to draw a line there. That's I'd call that evil, then, if you're going to do that. That's not fun.
Oh, it's been documented, too. Historian Javier Ayala Calderon, he discovered an archive from 1676 in which a young man narrated his sexual experiences with a duende.
Yikes. But these things are supposed to be tiny, or they are human-sized?
These are about 3 foot, 4 foot little goblin guys.
Okay, so
girls,
yeah, so they're capable of, geez.
Yeah, and it does seem to split. It seems like it does have that extreme, but it seems to be some of them are protective of people and some of them are very hostile, and they go very far, farther than the Aluxe.
Oh, so they range like people's personalities do then. So there's good people, there's really evil, fucked up people. Sounds like don't want to run into the fucked up, rapey ones.
Yeah, those are definitely on the more evil side, but the ones that would be considered not so evil, they're kind of assholes too, because the thing that they like to do, they are very famous for getting people lost. That's their thing. Is they are somehow able to they like to get groups of people, a few people split away from that group to get them lost. And this is a story about Chaneque and getting people lost from a man named Alejandro. Here's from Alejandro. We had an experience where we were going in a 4-car caravan through a forested area. At a certain point, when we were on a short stretch of road with no secondary exits, we realized that one of the cars was missing. When we arrived at our destination, we went back to look for the missing party and ended up finding them way down the road. When we asked them what happened, they told us that they had driven for a long time but never seemed to arrive at the destination. The lost party also saw no signs of the rest of the caravan, which were previously only driving a few meters ahead. After going on for what felt like an eternity, they decided to retrace their steps, but could not seem to even find their point of origin. At this point, a little girl who was part of the party said, "It's the Chaneque. We need to put our clothes on backwards." All the people in the car followed with the little girl's advice. They flipped their shirts back to front and even their pants. When they started driving again, the road seemed to shorten, and they immediately found those of us who had gone looking for them.
Wow.
The Chaneque are masters of getting people lost.
That is so scary. That is one of my biggest, not my biggest fears, but a very common theme in dreams that I have, where you just, you swear you're following a straight path, and then it's almost as if things shift right in front of you, or as soon as you need to take a turn, that's when things go wrong. And I've seen that, and obviously in movies and everything too, and it always really gets to me. That feeling of you feel really hopeless, you're completely vulnerable. There's no way that you can get yourself out, apparently, unless you turn your clothes backwards.
Yeah, it's kind of easy to get. Well, yeah, you've got two choices. You can have physical terror or psychological terror.
Yeah,
through just being lost in a maddening situation like
you're
this.
Stuck in a loop, yeah.
Yeah, but just putting your clothes on backwards, But you know what? You do this because the Chaneque, they do not know what is backwards or forwards anymore if you do this.
So you could just confuse them right back.
Yes, they get so confused. They run the complete other way. I don't know why that is such an easy way.
That is hilarious. And then it would be even better if you get to put a mask on the back of your head so that there's a face that way. And then
just put your hat backwards too.
Yeah. Just turn your hat backwards. But how can you tell if you're wearing, those wide-brimmed hats that just look the same every direction?
Too. They're going fast.
Yeah, what if they just start driving backwards?
Doing this? This is very confusing.
Well, I'm glad that one of them made it out and was able to find them and whatnot.
Well, I think they all did. Yeah, they all turned their pants around, and this is great story from Alejandro. And I've learned in research though, this is also a way to defend against leprechauns. Is the clothes backwards is one of the kind of curse breaker kind of charms you can use against things like this.
I wonder if you can really tell if you're wearing a T-shirt though, and that's backwards. It looks about the same front and back.
That's true. It was a V-neck or something. Maybe it is. Always wear clothes that you will look different backwards.
Yeah, make a note to yourselves, everybody. That's the best defense you can have against nature spirits. Make sure you have asymmetrical clothing.
Tom Green has never once been bothered by any of these beings. Never. You want to hear another Alejandro story? I got one more. It's a short one. All right, here we go. From Alejandro, there were 4 of us in a car traveling on rugged roads long before the existence of the new highways. We got lost in the forest and ended up off the road. We got out of the car and started walking, hoping to find someone to give us directions. As we moved forward, we saw light in the distance, thinking that we had found a house. 2 of us went ahead and discovered that there was no house in sight. Instead, we found an old man surrounded by fireflies. Initially, we were frightened. At that very moment, we heard our friends honk the car horn. We ran back to the car, but we found our friends asleep. We woke them, and they were very annoyed. When we asked why they had honked the horn, they said that it couldn't have been them. They were asleep. And when we went to look for the man, we couldn't find the man or his fireflies.
Oh, my God.
The end.
Dang.
Whoa.
And usually, fireflies are such a positive thing for me, like a connotation that's very... I get very uplifted when I see them. I am just overjoyed when I see fireflies. So I don't like to think of a story where there's something kind of negative about that.
I'm not sure what this has to do with the Chaneque, too. It's just an old man out there.
It's just a cool story.
No one got lost. No one got, no one...
This guy almost Rip Van Winkle. That's all.
He was just excited to tell another interesting story, I think, about fireflies.
Yeah.
But man, we got to start looking out for more stuff on it because there's a lot of media depictions of Chaneque, and it's been in a great show called Mission SOS. And this is a children's television show in which a group of preteens living in Mexico City neighborhood attempt to save their homes. A friendly Chaneque enters their lives and asks the children for help protecting his magical world. And through all their adventures, the Chaneque and the children bond, and they work to save their communities. And the show depicts Chaneque as a friendly being who can be naughty and disorganized, but he's got a good heart.
Well, that sounds like me.
Also clothes, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. I like clothes.
Which isn't really accurate.
That is really, okay, that's a good story. I kind of like that angle.
Yeah, there's no way this thing was, I haven't seen images, but there's no way this thing was on TV naked. Oh, wait. All right, look, hey, see that big box there? That is our delivery. We are going the right way.
Oh, right.
We're almost
delivery.
2 clicks there. Look, we're almost there. So I've got to ask you, Agent Mora, what is your take on the Fae of Mexico?
I'm the same as I suppose I would have if I were to go to Ireland or any place where the history is really rich there with it, is to go there with a little bit of caution, maybe not outright fear, because I do believe that a lot of times fear is just going to open things up and to want to mess with you more. So to go in there confidently, but with respect and just an open mind and willing to give over some cigarettes if you need to.
Carry cigarettes, yes. Close backwards, easy stuff here. And for me, look, I am open to the possibility of nature spirits manifesting into a small humanoid form. Are they protecting natural habitats? Are they a race of ancient and long-forgotten early Earth dwellers? Are they demons? Are they ghosts? I believe they're most likely a mixture of nature spirits and that ancient Earth dweller that evolved, so much differently from us.
Yeah.
And they can be found in areas all across the globe. And from what I can tell, they can be at the least negotiated with in some kind of way. And that prevents them from being any kind of serious threat to humans. I could be wrong. Maybe they are a threat. And look, we might get a chance to find out for ourselves, right? Look, here he is. This is the box. See this big-ass crate?
Dang,
all right, look,
what
he
did
left
you
a crowbar.
order?
I'll give you the honors. You want to pry it open?
Oh, gee, thanks. I brought my gloves.
Right there. Oh, wait. You're going to love it. Oh, you can't get it open.
What the hell is in here?
I'll get it open.
You should have just done that from the beginning.
Look, there it is. Here, look. All right. I had Jamie hunt down one of those clay figures of the Aluxes because he knows the shaman guy. And I think he also feels bad for me because I can't get funding anymore. So he did me this solid. Now, look, we've got the clay guy.
Oh, you've got the clay guy. This is your deal.
Well, fine, but I need help. Look, all we got to do is take this wood here. We build a little house, bring some food and drink. Boom, we got our own Aluxe.
Oh, cool. Okay.
There's so much stuff that can be done out here. Look, he could keep Zeneros away. He could chase off cactus cats. There's a lot of stuff.
All right, cool. Yeah, that sounds like, I'm down for it then. Actually, I'm now that I see that we have this wood to work with, kind of want to build it a cute little ranch style or a little mid-century modern little Aluxe house.
We'll get it all set up. He's going to be here. He's going to love it. It's so great.
Awesome.
I got a really good feeling about this.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Zona del Silencio is underwritten by ZDS Inc., ZDS R&D, and the Zona del Silencio Media Outreach Department. If you have a case that requires research, we can be contacted through Zona del Silencio Podcast at gmail.com, at Zona del Podcast on Twitter, and Zona del Silencio on Instagram. ZDS. Research, observe, disseminate.
It's all in motion, no stopping now. I've got nothing to lose and only one way up. I'm burning bridges, I destroy the mirage. Oh, visions of collisions, fucking bon voyage. It's all smooth sailing from here on out, yeah. I got bruises and hickeys, stitches and scars. Got my own theme, music plays wherever I are. Fear is the hand that pulls your strings, a useless toy. I'm risking